A 25-year-old went down to Mexico with some friends to celebrate someone's birthday. And just one day into that vacation, she turned up dead. And now officials have another big problem on their hands. Their prime suspect is no longer in the country. This morning, a potential legal limbo as Mexican prosecutors seek to extradite an acquaintance of Shanquella Robinson, the North Carolina woman found dead while vacationing in Mexico. Authorities are not currently naming her, but say she is a direct aggressor against the 25-year-old after a video online, too violent to show, reveals Robinson in her hotel room. Mexican authorities issuing an arrest warrant for that acquaintance, now back in America, for the crime of femicide, the act of killing a woman based on her gender.
I got a call from somebody, I didn't even know who it was, and they said that they was over there fighting that girl. And that's the way they left it, just like that.
So someone just called you, said that, and then hung up?
And hung up. Said they was over there fighting. I don't know why they keep talking about alcohol poisoning.
Responsible for her murder have not been held accountable. The lack of justice serves as a painful reminder of the vulnerabilities faced by individuals, especially young Black women, when they seek adventure in unfamiliar places with unfamiliar.
After Shanquella's killer, Daejhanae Jackson tried to legally change her name and distance herself from what she and the Cabo 6 did, new bombshell revelations about what really happened on that trip is coming to light. An undisclosed video reveals that it wasn't only Daejhanae who put hands on Shanquella that day, and the police allegedly stole money from her and tried very hard to stop the case from going forward. There are several reports floating around suggesting that the FBI have finally issued a warrant for Daejhanae's arrest and are actively building a case against the other 5 who did nothing to prevent the attack. Let's break it down.
It's been released, making it even more clear that the Cabo set Shanquella Robinson up. The video is from Friday, October 28th, 2022, and it was recorded at about 8:45 p.m. It is from Khalil Cook, her best friend of over 5 years, who was actually the one behind the recording of the first video, encouraging Shanquella to fight back in order to make the fight more entertaining for him. In this new released video, Khalil is recording Shanquella while she is asleep in a hammock, and he then posted this to her Instagram story. And in the video, he can be heard saying, "We got our first dead body, body, body," and then laughs about it.
We got first dead body, 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 she too full.
Bernard, Shanquella's father, saw this video and believes that it is just another indication that his daughter was set up.
Loved one in the heinous way in which has happened to Shanquella, there probably will never be peace for them, but there cannot just be an unopened situation. It has to be closed with truth, and it has to be that there is accountability for those who are responsible for her death.
It's already been 2 years since Shanquella Robinson lost her life when she went on what was supposed to be a fun trip with people she loved and thought that she could trust. Just 24 hours after they departed from North Carolina to Cabo, Mexico, the Cabo 6 returned back to the U.S. with nothing more than Shanquella's bags. Khalil, Shanquella's so-called best friend, went over to drop her bags at her parents' house and told Salamandra and Bernard, Shanquella's parents, that their daughter had died of alcohol poisoning. But neither Salamandra or Bernard were convinced. One by one, members of the Cabo 6 would come over to their house and tell the story of what happened, but each of them had a slightly different story when Shanquella was found. Some said that she was found in the bathroom by the maid, and they knew too late that she had alcohol poisoning. Others said that they found her lying helplessly in the bathroom, and that was when they knew something was up. That was a massive red flag right there. While her parents were trying to piece together the true story of what happened to their daughter, they received information that changed everything. Bernard was able to talk to a woman who worked at the resort in Cabo, and she told them that Shanquella dying of alcohol poisoning was a lie, and that she did in fact die from breaking her neck. Then a few days later, Salamandra received a very strange call, and the only thing the person told her was that the others had fought and jumped Shanquella very badly, and there were bruises all over her body. When Salamandra confronted the so-called friends about the cryptic phone call she got, they denied it and continued to say that none of them had anything to do with Shanquella's death. But when the autopsy performed by Mexican authorities came out, all lies were exposed. It revealed that she had suffered very serious injuries to her spinal cord cord and atlas luxation, meaning that Shanquella's neck was broken. The report also said that the time between Shanquella's injuries and death was only 15 minutes, and it completely goes against the claims that her so-called friends made about doctors treating her for hours and struggling to save her life. And you know, the autopsy report, along with the video of Daejhanae roughing Shanquella up when she wasn't even fighting back, showed that what happened to her wasn't an accident at all. Her so-called friends were recording the whole thing, and Khalil was asking Shanquella if she didn't know how to throw hands and make the whole fight more interesting for them. What's even more disturbing is that after Daejhanae was done, Winter Donovan, who was recording the whole time, dropped her phone and went after Shanquella. She grabbed her neck and slammed her into the ground, and it was after that that Shanquella completely stopped moving. The whole thing seemed like a cruel and premeditated attack, and it's sad to think that none of these people actually liked Shanquella or saw her as a friend or even a human being. However, the autopsy from Mecklenburg County showed something completely different. I mean, it didn't mention anywhere in there that she had a broken neck or any spinal cord injury, and it didn't even confirm that she died of alcohol poisoning. It said the cause of death was inconclusive. Because of these reports, the FBI went to Shanquella's family and told them that since her body was already embalmed, they couldn't do a full-on autopsy, even though they knew that she had brain damage. The FBI also told her parents that they were going to let the Cabo 6 walk scot-free because the witnesses, which included the so-called friends, told them that Shanquella had agreed to fight. But really, who agrees to fight when they're naked and in their most vulnerable state? It just didn't add up. And even with their whole Shanquella getting treated by a doctor story not adding up or making any sense, the friends admitted that the doctor told them that they needed to take her to the hospital for treatment and more medical care. But they refused because they claimed not to have the $5,000 for her treatment. These are the same people who had enough money to book a luxury resort in Cabo and a private chef for their meals. But the life of their friend wasn't worth splitting $5,000 between 5 people? Crazy. And if you know anything about Mexico, you know that their healthcare is way cheaper than the States. And taking Shanquella to the hospital would have cost about $2,500 or less. The FBI also claimed that it was not sufficient evidence to pursue any case against Daejhanae Jackson, who was wanted for femicide in Mexico. But Shanquella's family didn't allow the FBI to just dismiss this matter as just another trip gone wrong. They kept fighting and even pleaded with the president to push for the extradition of Daejhanae to Mexico if the FBI weren't willing to pursue the case themselves, and it looks like their efforts are finally paying off. Shanquella's family attorney, Sue Robinson, has just filed a wrongful death lawsuit against all 6 of the people that traveled that day: Daejhanae Jackson, Khalil Cook, Nazir Wiggins, Malik Dreyer, Elise Hyatt, and Winter Donovan. She said that, quote, "The lawsuit is not just about seeking justice for Shanquella Robinson. It's about holding accountable those who were entrusted with the duty to investigate, act, and protect the interests of U.S. citizens abroad." End quote. Quote, "We demand still and again and until the end that authorities take the necessary steps to investigate this case thoroughly and bring those responsible until justice is served for Shanquella Robinson and her family." End quote. Shanquella's family is also suing the U.S. Department of State and the FBI for negligence for withholding information from the family after they sought to obtain records from FOIA requests. The extradition request for Daejhanae Jackson is still standing, and Mexico is still waiting for the U.S. to grant the request. Even though she's still claiming no foul play, people did some digging and found that she's trying to change her name to Imani Green, and the timing of it is way too suspicious just to be a coincidence. She is changing her name to distance herself from all of the attention around her involvement in Shanquella's passing. But when people found out about her name change, it only led to more calls for further investigation. And now that there's also a case against them, reports show that the FBI have reopened Shanquella's case and are actively looking into Daejhanae. Now, Shanquella's family has refused to exhume the body for a 3rd autopsy because of the inconsistencies with the first 2. But if the FBI is willing to push this forward and finally do right by them, they are willing to have the body brought up for a 3rd and final examination. And the people are behind them all the way and are demanding for someone to finally answer for the horrible treatment they showed her. Quote, "I'm glad Shanquella Robinson's family is continuing to seek justice because nobody was held accountable." End quote. And another, quote, "Our people have become barbaric and vile. Remember they brutally beat her while she was nude and filmed it so they could re-watch her demise over and over? The hate for that woman was so strong. How disgusting that the Cabo 6 demons get to walk among us." end quote. Quote, they thought they were free. I'm glad her mom never stopped fighting. I pray this family gets justice, end quote. But I really want to know what you guys think. Will Shanquella and her family ever get justice, or will this be brushed aside again? Share your thoughts in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.